So whether I'm doing Arya, I do Bhagavad Gita, or I do Sanskrit shlokas, I feel this is the way that I can reach out. When you speak philosophically to Indians, there is a reverberation that happens.
Earlier, we all love our country. We all feel for India. We all will do anything for it. But none of us are sitting and screaming out here. We are not going to do that to prove ourselves. So I feel like the entire show is a lot about that.
I don't know how to make a certain filmy film. I would want to. I want to get out there. I want to do lip sync songs in this. There are lip sync songs, but I think our tone is not that. No? जब बात करते, so I think the kind of people that we are, though we believe that this is a show about how it is the waking of a nation and how India became India, but we're not doing it in a way in which it's melodramatic.
Hi everyone, welcome to Cinema Express. My name is Shreyas. First of all, congratulations for putting together the show. It looks really interesting. I saw 4 episodes.
Right.
And I really like the tone and the way you're telling the story.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to begin by asking you what made you want to look back at Jallianwala Bagh massacre and tell this story?
So I'm interested in the color of our skin. कि हम लोग जो गोरे नहीं है, अच्छा ये तो है गोरी. अच्छा ये भी गोरा है. अच्छा हीरो भी गोरा है. No,
but also suits his character because he returns
exactly, he returns from there. But no, but the thing is that I think that we trying to make something on racism, on prejudice, on colonialism, on the color of our skin. And so how is it that के ये जो लोग आए, पहले तो कंपनी थे, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी, फिर ब्रिटिश राज हो गया, तो ये लोग आए और हमारे ऊपर ये जो कब्जा जो किया, like how did this happen? So it's really more than the massacre because काफी लोगों ने massacre दिखाया है. So it's not just the Hatyakand, it's more than that. So that's really what the show is about. It's about the Hunter Commission and it's about the conspiracy. हम कह रहे कि जो हुआ, it was not the fault of one man. It was actually somebody else. ये जो पोस्टर वहाँ जो है कि जनरल डायर सिर्फ एक कठपुतली थे, और किसी और का हाथ है, और ये जो हुआ, तो we are saying it's a conspiracy.
But was there a specific time when you realized this is a conspiracy? You came across some readings?
Yes, it's actually, if you look up, even the name Hansraj, which is there in episode 1, so his name is also there. He's a police informer. आप थोड़ा सा भी आप Google करोगे या archives में या research करोगे, it's all in the public domain. It's the fact that there is वो एक हवा में है कि was this pre-planned? So I took what was there and then we've dramatized it. We are not saying that this is historical. We are saying it's inspired by true events. Everybody in the team behind there saying, well done, Ram, please say it's inspired by true events. So that's what we are saying.
One more thing that I found really interesting was how some of the important people in history like Gandhi and Nehru are just mentioned, but we instead focus more on these ordinary people and their lives and how they were the most impacted by the massacre.
I'm so honored to be called ordinary today.
I mean, ordinary characters, not ordinary as actors. But
they're extraordinary actors. But just ordinary people.
So how did that as a decision come about to focus more on them and not on the so-called legends of history?
So actually ये जो कहानी जो है वो हम कहते हैं 3 यार बरकरार, but actually 4 यार बरकरार है. And it's really a story about 4 friends. And sometimes what happens is that our wives, you know, they have to suffer the men. So it's about 3 boys in a way, and a woman, like all women and like all the women who are in my life were very strong women, including my wife Nikita Madhvani, who's a co-producer. So it's really about these 3 boys and how this woman has to navigate herself around them while they behave like all men. So that's really what it is. But it's really at the soul of it, it's about the youth and what they went through at that time.
And it also has a lot of contemporary themes because it speaks to the times of today through an historic story. So coming to the 4 of you, you play characters, as I said, who led an ordinary life but were affected by these incidents the most, and history did not, sort of note their stories. So
these are fictional characters.
Yeah, these are fictional characters, that's what. But they may have existed in reality, went through those circumstances.
Exactly.
Instances, you can say.
Exactly.
So how was it to play them? Like, did you have to do a lot of reading to understand the background? What was that process like?
Well, so I think of course, you have to put in a lot of work to understand this world. When you're talking about 1920s, I feel it's also that period where you don't have many people you interact with from that period anymore, right?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of reading that goes. And as we all know, he's very famous for his process of filmmaking.
Called System 360.
Yes, so System 360. So it's not just getting into the period of 1920, it's also getting into his system. So I feel like a mix of both of that really needed a lot of prep, and they have rightly put us through that, which was a lot of workshops. And you know, if you're trying to call someone friends, there needs to be this organic, there needs to be this seamless connection that you get to see.
Yeah.
And that can only be achieved, like I feel even the biggest of the biggest actors can never fake it. The camera will catch it.
Yeah.
So to kind of achieve that, you need to have that bonding amongst ourselves, and not just with ourselves, I also feel with the people behind the camera.
Yeah.
Because if we are not the same with the people behind the camera, we can't really work.
Yeah.
So that entire bonding of your crew as well as these characters is something all of us have worked on, of course. And then talking about getting into our individual characters, how we are seen from that period, is of course a bit of reading. There is enough research that has been done by the entire team of writers, the makers, from our costumes to our dialect to everything that our character does, and that's how we've managed to crack what you've seen.
No, but listen, a big shout out to my 4 young actors. They play characters, and I'm very, last night we met and we were having dinner together, and I said if I had a chance again to recast it, I would not work with anybody else but these 4.
Yeah.
So this is them.
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
That's actually the biggggest award for all of us in
I
India.
know.
Like, we don't need anything, we just need this statement. That's
Exactly.
We want to win Emmys also, yeah. Emmy nominated director.
Yeah.
No, but one of the things that we said to them is that don't make it feel like it's a historical. It's not. You are real people living at that time.
Yeah,
it should be handheld. It should be raw. It should be natural. It should not feel formalized.
Yeah.
Okay, now we are in 1919, so hame bhasha, aisi saaf. No. It's meant to be. It's meant to be as if it was. We are capturing what it was then.
I think the one struggle that we all have is, I know we work on the dialect in trying to crack the speech from back then.
Punjabi
correct?
dialect,
Punjabi, and even how people spoke. But these days, our Hindi and English, it's become so normal to mix them and speak in a certain way. I feel that's a bit that all of us have struggled. In fact, yesterday only we got to know, which they were complaining, saying all 4 of us have done one thing in the entire show, is we have said 8 second. And people back in the day did not say 8 second. And they're like, you all 4 have done that. And that's when you realize, you're just like, we're so used to speaking a certain way today. We don't realize this is all made up. It's all like a made up language that we actually talk in today's time, which
I think
obviously didn't exist.
That's a con, maybe a con of a 360 setup where Ram sir wants us to be there in the scene where we can play our characters, but at the same time we are us, right? So there's some part of us which is
that you'll see
in the real life. So I think wo 1 second wala
1 second,
Though most of it has been redubbed and all that, so most of it is not there now.
I'm just glad all 4 of us have done this mistake, so I'm like, it's not just one single person.
Yeah, but what it also does is it kind of removes that barrier of we are seeing an historical.
Exactly.
So it speaks to the contemporary times more if you use a language which is more like.
Yeah, it should not be formal. It makes it informal.
Exactly. Yeah, coming to the 3 of you share a friendship, as Ram sir just said, and it is marred by ideologies, which is very interesting because you share a different way of thinking, you share a different way of thinking, and the 2 of you clash, and there are quite a lot of powerful scenes, especially the riot scene in episode 2. I was like completely taken away by that entire episode, and the way you filmed it, and because also how the 2 have acted. So, what was the brief given to the 2 of you for that scene and in general for the series?
Don't get hurt.
I'd like to tell you how that scene was filmed, actually. If you see 20 minutes of a riot or 15 minutes of a riot, I'm guessing because I haven't seen it. But it's actually happened in real time. The both of us were put into a riot.
We were in the riot.
Like dropped into an active riot. And you know,
things were happening.
The brief for us truly was to not get hurt. Because there was a lot of people, and some of them didn't even know that we are actors.
Okay.
There was a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it had to, you know, Ram sir always tells us not to act and to be. Just be.
Yeah.
And for that purpose, you know, for it to seem as natural as possible, we were just put into it, and then, you know, we'd see what happens.
But they did get hurt.
But no, we didn't get hurt.
No, they did get hurt, but thankfully, apart from that toe and the finger that he's missing, otherwise he was fine.
So was it filmed like in a single take with multiple cameras?
It was one massive pass of things.
Okay.
So it was 4 cameras.
It's shot with 4 cameras,
and it's done real time.
And it's done real time, and it's choreographed, that's why, you know, we were talking about the whole 1 second thing. Even we forget that we are acting because we can't see the cameras as actors.
Exactly.
Because of System 360, everything is being covered from everywhere, but it's so smartly positioned, and everyone's so on point, and they know where we are. Sometimes we also don't know where we are.
Yeah.
So, you know, we kind of forget that we're in a surreal kind of environment. We start believing that we are in the actual place.
Correct.
So there have been like moments where, you know, the people who were playing the crowd and the people who were doing the riots, they were so motivated. There were moments where we have to get angry, or we have to go to a certain point to show our anger, or our, you know, we have to cry or whatever. हमें जाने नहीं देते थे. वो रो रहे हैं बैठ के. नहीं हमें जाना है, हम नहीं.
Damn.
So it was damn real.
देखो acting के लिए आंसू चाहिए, लेकिन खून भी चाहिए.
No, but it's truly an immersive experience for an actor as well.
Yeah. That's why it is for us as well.
Yeah.
For the viewers. Bhawsheel, you play like sort of the middle ground between these these 3.
वो costume
And even you're sitting in the middle also.
It's okay.
So how was it for you to play a character who has been to a war, doesn't have a hand, and dreams of a better India in future?
Yeah, actually, it's written as a handicapped character, but I didn't want to take that baggage when I'm performing. Because you go outside, you see so many people in real life. Sometimes you walk across, you see, oh yeah, he doesn't have a leg. Oh, he doesn't have an eye.
Oh, yaar, beep. He doesn't.
Yeah, you just swear on camera.
But continue.
But it's like they're still carrying on with their regular day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
मतलब सुबह उठ के जिस इंसान का हाथ नहीं है, जिस इंसान की लात नहीं है, whatever reason it could be, that doesn't stop them, or that doesn't deter them, that doesn't demotivate them to keep on fighting for their life. Hari Singh ki backstory, what was told to me, like he fought in the Great War, World War I, 1914.
तब तो World War I था नहीं, it was just the Great War. There was no World War II,
Yeah.
Great War, yeah. A British Indian Army से enlist हुआ था. Of course, he got injured in the war. I personally, when I was approaching the character, that was the last thing I was worrying about. The focus should not be on the fact that this guy doesn't have a hand. Focus should be on the fact that this guy earlier was part of violence. He chose that path of violence. Now he's on the path of satyagraha. Now he's on the path of Gandhiji's ideals of non-violence.
Yeah.
But again, the massacre happened, and then how the story progresses. So as an actor, it was a little difficult, but honestly, that was never really my concern. Ki yaar, how should I perform it without one hand?
The man who's seen the most violence,
exactly,
becomes the most non-violent.
Yeah. It's a really tragic story.
Yeah, actually.
4th episode to आपने हाँ देख लिया.
Yeah, I have. That's why.
Yeah.
Also, you were whenever we were doing workshops, at that time they used to tie his hand up. So he's done every single workshop with
one hand.
Yeah, while practicing like that. So I think that really helped him get comfortable.
Actually, real में पहले वही सोच रहे थे कि हाथ ही तोड़ देते हैं, but हुआ नहीं. तो वो कुछ ज़्यादा ही real हुआ.
और riot में हमने try किया, लेकिन हुआ नहीं.
तारुक का टूट गया.
तारुक का तो टूट गया ठीक.
नहीं मेरा कुछ नहीं टूटा. देखो मैं एकदम सही हूँ.
Yeah, thankfully.
दिल नहीं टूटा ना, बस वही है.
Exactly.
बस.
Taking that further, Ram sir, when we look at history, we usually see characters as heroes and villains, but you don't do that. But it happens a lot in historical films, and that's why it leads to creation of enemies of the past, but they may not be the case in reality. What is your take on that?
You know, there used to be an actor called Bob Christo who was in Hindi movies earlier. So Tom Alter, who's no more, but the Bob Christo and Tom Alter were the two people who played a lot of the white men in Hindi movies. So for us, first of all, we casted the people who came in from London. जब उन लोग को पता चला कि there was this kind of massacre, all 12 of them, thanks to Abhimanyu Ray, our casting director, they flew down because they wanted to be part of this. They wanted to speak about what happened. And there has been a, in Britain, you're not taught कि उन लोग ने क्या क्या किया. So these, the actors who came down, I must say, I really thank them for like coming and giving their full heart and soul, as you've seen. And they gave of themselves because they wanted to speak about this. Now, what happens is that what they did was a very villainous thing. But you don't have to portray them in a melodramatic kind of way. If you can portray them, which is not to say that they did not do a bad thing, they did a bad thing. It's like when Chris Martin came and he said in the Coldplay concert that, listen, I'm so happy that you welcomed us because Britain did many bad things. Well, our show is about a very bad thing that happened. And what we, of course, want to say thank you, Chris Martin. But we also want to say that there is, the show is also about the price of duty. And that there are various people who are doing what they think is right under the guise of duty, but it's completely wrong. So that's really what we are trying to also speak about.
Yeah, and one of the things that historical films are also marred by is, showing patriotism in a very high up way. It is elevated to an extent where it doesn't feel authentic. You also again try to not do that, which is a fresh thing to see.
Thank you. And you know what happened at the end of the commission? So because I allow my actors in the 360-degree system to also get into what they feel like doing, and Taaruk at the end, it was there in the trailer. So suddenly we are shooting, and then he's like planned it in his head, but he hasn't told me about it. So he's there and he says, Hindustan Zindabad, and so that's something that he actually, and it's not as if we rehearsed it with the crowd, but as soon as it happened, you can feel it in the trailer itself. That moment is something that gives you ghost flesh, because it's feeling like as if it is not jingoistic. It's feeling like as if it's nationalistic in a way in which it's genuine and it's authentic. So thanks to that, thank you, Taaruk, for...
And you're conscious to not make it jingoistic and all those things.
You know, what happens is that I don't know how to make a certain filmy film. I would want to. I wanted to get out there. I want to do lip sync songs in this. There are lip sync songs, but I think our tone is not that. No? Jab baat karte, so I think the kind of people that we are, though we believe that this is a show about how it is the waking of a nation and how India became India, but we're not doing it in a way in which it's melodramatic. We want to make it so that it's real.
Yeah, I think patriotism, Bharat Mata ki jai bolne mein nahi hai. Real patriotism, in my opinion, is आप भारत माता के लिए क्या कर रहे हो? हिंदुस्तान के लिए आप क्या कर रहे हो?
Ask not what
That's a good
country does for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Yeah.
And what I found really also interesting was how you filmed the entire Jallianwala Bagh massacre. We usually have seen it from the other end, where we put the camera on the people being killed, and it kind of brings out takes away the dignity in a way, because we're seeing people being killed. But you instead place the camera on the soldiers and the police and General Dyer giving orders, and there's silence for some time as the bullets keep firing. So how was that?
Thank you for that. Choice? It was when Shatrujit Nath and Shantanu Srivastava, both are writers, when we were talking about it, while 5 years ago is when we started writing this. We are, of course, one of the biggest things that you have to figure out is how are you going to show what happened? And I wanted to show it with utmost dignity, utmost respect, We have a tree that which we made, where everybody tied a sacred thread in memory of those people who lost their lives. And therefore, I wanted to do it in a way in which, when you see it, you are, sort of, in fact, in a way, from the survivors' point of view, and what happened to the survivors, and also a lot of what happened, like we say in the series, it was a statistic, right? Like, people have forgotten.
Yeah.
And the best way to keep their memory alive is, I feel, in the way that we've done it, and you've seen in the courtroom and in the commission, the kind of emotional impact that has.
Yeah. And there is also this use of poetry of Kabir and other Bhakti poets, which I found really interesting.
All of it is Kabir, in fact.
Yeah, all of it is Kabir.
Well,
so
I feel that one way to reach out to the people, and apart from using the youth, is also through philosophy. So whether I'm doing Arya, I do Bhagavad Gita, or I do Sanskrit shlokas, I feel this is the way that I can reach out. When you speak philosophically to Indians, there is a reverberation that happens. And so we use Kabir, and Taaruk has sung the songs, and Samiruddin has done the music. And I have been learning singing for the last year and a half myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I will not sing for you.
But Taaruk can sing.
But Taaruk can sing.
Taaruk
can sing.
Maybe we can do that in the end.
Yes,
I
please.
will.
Yeah. Because he did go through, we had a folk, Shruti Vishwanathan is somebody who's actually been my teacher for learning how to sing Kabir. I went and spent 2 or 3 days with Prahat Tepaniaji, who is the foremost singer of Kabir today.
From Malwa.
Yeah, from Malwa. And so we went to Lunia Khedi, where he stays, and Taaruk also learned then from Shruti. So.
Wow, that's so lovely. Coming to you, Nikita, there's this really powerful scene in the courtroom where you narrate what happened on the day of the massacre. And again, as you said, there is no melodrama in it. It plays out with certain restraint. There's a therav in your performance. So how was that? What was going on in your mind when you were performing that, before and after?
First, I would say that that's like literally one of my favorite scenes in the show.
Yeah.
And she's done genuinely, like, hats off to every time that we have shown it to people. And you have to graph the tears when, because you can't exhaust the tears. So I had to graph it so that when that happens, because lots of things happen, and every time we've shown it to people, they start crying. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Funnily, that was actually my audition scene.
Okay.
When I auditioned for the show, that scene was sent to me, and I remember reading it and going like, how do they expect me to audition for this? It's a monologue without me knowing what's going on. I had to record it on a phone and send it. I was very confident that I'm not going to get the part because I'm so clueless of what I'm doing. And here I am today.
Wow.
Thank you for that. I mean, as we've been speaking about the whole 360 system, when you're in the scene, when you're in the middle of the scene, there's actually no planning that's going on in your head. There is no planning. There's also something that Ram sir does, which he's actually not spoken about. In the middle of that 360, he's very capable of throwing what he calls googlies. Okay, googlies is basically he throws something unexpected at you.
Okay.
So say supposingly this is a scene and we all are having a conversation, suddenly somebody will come inside which you're not prepared for. It's not in the script.
Okay.
So now you have to react because
to
there's no rule of saying cut or saying sir, what, forgot. No, there is no rule. So once we got into the filming of this, I think we all had made peace with the fact कि खुद जो हम प्लान करके जाते हैं ना वो तो नहीं होने वाला है. As actors, you always plan ना कि okay, I'm going to go do this at this line. ना my one tear should come out. I swear to God, I'm that actor who will probably sit and think, oh, I want to take my tears out of this time. I'll try and hold them, then I'll blink and it'll come out of that. Doesn't work here. It just doesn't work here. So specifically, if I have to say about that scene, I wasn't thinking anything. I was very much in the moment. The one thing, yes, as you said, his entire filmmaking is not melodramatic.
Yeah.
And I personally feel anything is more felt very organically when you try and show actually how the actors, the characters, the situation is on camera instead of telling them or screaming at them. So if I would be crying and yelling a testimony out there, I don't know if that would be the right thing to do. And when you think about it, I mean, right now when we all are sitting over here, as you rightly mentioned about patriotism also earlier, we all love our country. We all feel for India. We all will do anything for it. But none of us are sitting and screaming out here. We are not going to do that to prove ourselves. So I feel like the entire show is a lot about that. So that's why the subtleness also that you're talking about. And I feel like that's probably in all our scenes.
So when she's acting and her close-up is there are 150 people in the commission who are actually there giving her energy. It's not as I'm taking her close-up separately. She's reacting off them. Also, that means that there's something called social masking. When you're there in public, you're not over here in private. You also have to make sure that you're around people. And so you don't, at the same time, you're trying to figure out how to be emotional, but you don't want to cry because you don't want to be there like that in front of people.
Correct.
All of this then becomes part of the actor's
performance.
Performance.
Also, there's always this thing whenever we are given scripts. So say I know what my line is and I know say what Taaruk's line is. So say I finished this line, now I know in my head that
What's your cue? What's your cue now next?
So you know the cue, right? कि अब ये तारुक line बोलेगा, खत्म करेगा, उसके बाद मैं सांस लूंगी या उसके बाद मैं हंसूंगी. That concept doesn't exist over
rhythm
here.
break होता है उससे.
So I don't know when I am saying something in the middle of that, somebody will say anything. I don't know what that's going to happen. So you're just out there like one abandoned child swimming in the deep ocean, and you have to save yourself.
And not drown.
And not drown.
And you all didn't
so
drown.
So you just have to save yourself. You've basically been thrown in the ocean. So that's all of us.
In the ocean of life.
Taaruk, lastly, can we hear some part of the song?
Sure. I actually was totally not expecting this, so I've got my guitar. दो दिन का है जुगमा मेला, दो दिन का है जुगमा मेला, सब चला चली का खेला, ओ सब चला चली का खेला, सब चला चली का खेला, ओ सब चला चली का खेला, सब चला चली का खेला, कोई चला गया, कोई जा, कोई चला गया, कोई जावे, कोई गथड़ी बाल से धावे, कोई खड़ा तैयार अकेला, सब चला चली का खेला, वो सब चला चली का खेला, सब चला चली का खेला.
Wow, what a way to end this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for this lovely conversation.
So much for having us.
And I wish you all the best for waking up and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.